Welcome along to another Pixiecast, and it is number 13, which means it must be number 13 baby, who I'm speaking to this afternoon, and I'm travelling all the way up to Glasgow to speak to the one and only Mr. Peter Norris. Pete, hi, mate, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
My first question has to be, have you got a tattooed tit?
No, not as yet.
Not as yet. Still saving up for it, are you?
Yeah, saving up for it. It's early days yet, you know.
Thinking about the right design and everything.
Yeah.
So, as I say, up there in Glasgow, how long have you lived in Glasgow for?
I have lived in Glasgow, well, on and off. I moved up in 2004, and when I stayed at the dorms at college.
Yeah.
And then I moved up permanently in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been living where I am now, which is about 400 yards outside of Glasgow, in Rutherglen for about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And your family, I know they live on a Scottish island, don't they? A bit more remote from you.
A peninsula. The peninsula. Yeah, they live in a small village called Ardentinny.
Mm-hmm.
Which is near Dunoon, as made famous by Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
Why don't you come back to Dunoon? Yeah. And in Argyll. Yeah. So that's where I grew up. Lived there for many years.
Looks really beautiful out there.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful part of the world there, and it's really nice having it only a couple of hours away as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you have to get a boat, don't you, as part of the trip to get to see your folks?
Yeah, you can get around there by road, but it's not the best drive. So yeah, going by boat is the best way to get there. It's about 20 minutes on the boat from Gourock. Yeah.
Excellent, good stuff. And have you got Maxwell there with you, or is he away at the moment?
No, I've got him at the moment. He is here. He was he was looking like he was about to start barking at the window a minute ago, actually. In case you would have definitely known that he was actually, if I can switch this, can't I? So I can just have a brief look.
Yeah, that's all. Oh, there we go. There's Maxwell.
Yeah, there it is. Just sitting away. Yeah,
just chilling out.
Yeah. And he will probably notice when if I'm gonna move or anything, he'll like jump up or that kind of thing. Okay. But yeah, he does sleep a lot.
Yeah, well, we've got a dog that does exactly the same, Tilly, as you know. So he'll be next door on the sofa as well, much like Maxwell is. So anyway, so we're here to talk about Pixies. How long have you been a Pixies fan?
Since I think it's 1993. Okay. I got into them basically. I was into Nirvana. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the grunge stuff and that kind of thing. And I had a friend whose older brother basically just saw that I liked Nirvana and said, "Oh, if you like that, you'll probably like these." And he gave me a copy of Manic Street Preachers' "Gold Against the Soul," which is an absolute brilliant album, mm-hmm. and Bossanova by Pixies.
Okay.
And I went home. Yeah, it was friend's older brother, and he just thought, "Oh, if you like that, you'll probably like this." I went to primary school with him and stuff, and he just thought, "Oh, you'll probably like this." Yeah. And I suppose it's that way that we know about. If you like Pixies, you try and convert people to them and stuff. You know? Yeah. But I went away, listened to it, and actually thought, "Oh, I don't like that. That's kind of rubbish." Oh, okay. And yeah, so my first listen of Pixies was I didn't really like it at all, and I don't remember exactly why, but I have a theory that it's because the first track on Bossanova is an instrumental, and maybe I just thought, there's not even any words to this. And maybe if I'd got to the second track, I might have been like, oh wow, this is amazing and
so
way
you
better.
Didn't even make it to the second track?
I don't think I would have done, because I just can't imagine me listening to rock music and not thinking that was really good. I think I maybe just listened to Cecilia Ann and thought, oh, which is a song I love these days, but maybe just then I just thought, oh, it's an instrumental. And then it was maybe a few months later, I went back to it and thought, oh, I'll try that again, and then I absolutely loved it. Yeah. And listened to it, all the time. Actually, just growing up in a small village, and there was no internet then. I didn't really know much about the band. I remember thinking they were Irish because of the way he speaks in "Dig for Fire." And
okay.
I thought that was I thought that was like an Irish guy speaking. I thought, and I like Pixies, Leprechauns, or something. I don't know. I thought they were Irish, and I thought Bossanova was like their only album. I didn't know they had any other stuff, and it wasn't really until I think would have been Death to the Pixies, the compilation, which I think was '97. And I got that, and I got the limited edition one with like the live album on it. And that just blew me away, hearing all those songs live and thinking, I wonder what, I remember hearing Planet of Sound and thinking it was going to be one of their earlier ones, thinking that would be like off their first album or something. And then they started, they reissued all the albums, I think, on CD, and had a local record store then, back when Dunoon actually had a record shop. And I got the albums on CD and one by one, and I just loved every single one of them. It was just like, wow, this is amazing. And I couldn't believe that I'd thought that they were, they had this one album, to the point where I remember watching Tea in the Park, the Scottish festival, and recording a few of the acts on it. I think maybe Mazzy Star was one that I recorded, and there's a little bit on my recording of it that I had on the TV of Frank Black, where I obviously didn't realise who it was. And it's like the last 20 seconds of him without me realising, that's that guy you really like, and just not knowing. I think he did like a set of Tea in the Park, and I didn't even realise it was him or who it was.
Yeah. So obviously Tea in the Park, like you say, is a big festival up in Scotland when we're having live music and outdoor events and things like that. So I think Pixies have played there a couple of times. Is that right?
Yeah, my first ever experience of seeing Pixies was at Tea in the Park. When they got back together, and it was 2004. Yeah. And that they played Tea in the Park. And that was which Lisa went to as well.
Yes.
So we were at the
she said, yeah.
And actually, I can fill in the blanks with some of the other bands that were playing that year, because I've not been to Tea in the Park as many times. I've only been twice. So the Strokes were headlining.
So whatever happened to them? Eh?
Yeah, I know. Kings of Leon were playing back when they were introducing their second album. So that was their early days. And PJ Harvey was one of the other acts I remember was playing. So. Yeah. And I remember the bass player from the Kings of Leon playing the gigantic riff on the bass, and they said how what an honor it was to play on the same bill as Pixies and everything as well. And then they did play it again. I think they played Tea in the Park again in 2014. I think it was, which I didn't get to, unfortunately. But I've seen them quite a few times now.
You are quite a gig goer when you get the opportunity.
Yeah, and I've got 18 lined up for next year.
Oh wow!
Which fingers crossed will be next year. We obviously, it might change, and I might end up having them the year after. But I was meant to see Pixies twice this year, and obviously and out of all the gigs I went to, they were the ones that got completely cancelled, not even rescheduled or anything. And they were going to play a venue in Glasgow, which is perhaps a bit smaller than they would normally play. And that would have been great. That was SWG3 they were going to play, and that would have been amazing to see them in a slightly smaller venue. I'm sure we'll get back to gigging at some point.
Because when I was talking to Lisa, it was Barrowlands, isn't it? It's a famous venue in Glasgow.
That's my favourite venue, and I was lucky enough to see Pixies there in 2016. Which was kind of how I ended up joining the fan group, actually. Yeah, because I was going to that gig, and I was a member of some groups on Facebook for bands I liked and other like comedy shows and things. And I thought, you know what, there must be a Pixies group, and I actually looked for it and couldn't find it. And then about maybe about 2 days later, it came up as a suggestion. So and I think there was only. I think I was maybe number 108 or something like that.
Oh wow! So you one of the very early ones then?
Yeah, I think it'd only been going for a few months. Yeah, because I think they talk about. I think it's like September, and that was like December. So, and I felt welcomed into the group straight away, and it just felt, like friends you'd known for years after just a really short period of time. And I remember sharing the band I used to be in had done a cover of Caribou,
okay.
and I remember sharing that in the group, and because I thought, you know what, even if I don't think people are going to be horrible about this, they're you know, they're going to be all right about it, and you know, be like, you know, okay. And so I shared it, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it is a really great group, isn't it? And it's part of the inspiration for me doing what I'm doing at the moment, talking to all these lovely people who are members and people who I can now consider friends as well, even if I haven't actually met them. It's you know, it's been great to get to know some people, and of course, you know, people like you I've met 2 or 3 times at Pixies events and what have you, and Adele's wedding and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great, the effect that the group has had, I think, for people around the world.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing, and like you say, making friends that you have for life, and being friends with people that it's difficult to explain it to people. You know, I'm friends with some people and I've not actually met them yet, and they're like, "Oh, you've not met them yet?" But yeah, but that doesn't really matter. It's like these are people that I know so well. You know,
we have this common bond, don't we? And we all get on. We don't fall out with each other, which is good.
Yeah, no, there's no point where the group has started to wane or anything like that.
I thought you might get that word in. Yeah, no, it's certainly not on the wane, is it? This group,
no.
Despite what some people thought once. So you're a bit of an instrumentalist yourself. How old were you when you first picked up a guitar?
I was 14 when I first picked up a guitar. I've got an older brother who's 4 years older, and he played for a few years. So I'd like the idea of it. I was quite into playing keyboard.
Okay.
I'd played keyboard from about, not very well, but I'd played keyboard from about the age of 7 or 8, maybe a bit older. And I remember at school you had like your first instrument and your second instrument, and my first instrument was keyboard, and my second instrument was xylophone. And playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow on the xylophone will make anyone want to play another instrument that isn't the xylophone. And you know, just going bling 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 bling, and then just no, this isn't cool. You know, so I wanted to pick up a guitar, and I'm mainly self-taught. My brother showed me a few things. Like I remember he showed me, after I played for a while, he showed me the blues scale, and he showed me like tuning the E down to a D and stuff, that kind of thing, to play like power chords and, you know, and things. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot myself as well, or just watching my brother, just watching him play. You know, and it's quite. I remember the first song I wrote. I remember it was actually when it was the news had broken about Kurt Cobain, and I wrote this like terrible song about that.
Yeah.
And I only knew about 4 chords at the time as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the first time I wrote a song, and I wrote a few songs until it was probably ages until I wrote one that could be any good at all, which I did use years later in my band.
Yeah.
Whether it's any good or not, I don't know, but it certainly seemed better than the first few I wrote.
And what was the first Pixies song that you learned to play on guitar then? Do you remember?
I think the first Pixie song I learned was probably Something Against You.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, it's got those 3 chords where it's but then also the lead riff. He's not playing many notes when he's playing that lead riff, so it's more about the passion they play it with, and Charles's scream is which I did attempt to do that song at one point, and yeah, it's not. I couldn't quite get Charles's scream, put it that way.
So I've been asking people in these Pixiecasts for their favourite Pixies track, but what I can do with you is I can ask you, one, what is your favourite Pixies track, but also what is your favourite Pixies song to play?
No, that's a good question. So I'm a funny one because people go, "Oh, it's like picking your favourite child," and
I know.
I'd
Everyone
probably,
says the same.
if I had kids, I'd probably be like, oh, that's my favourite child. You know, that'd probably be really bad because I find this quite easy. Alison is my favourite Pixies song, and it has been for years. It's not the most Pixies song because he's not like shouting in it and stuff, but I've always loved that song. They never play it live, which is a bit
very short as well. Very short song.
Yeah, it is. It's on like a minute and a half or something. And it was great to hear Hey Pixies, you know, Benedict's tribute band play it live. So actually hear it getting played live. So that is definitely my favourite Pixies song. My favourite one to play, probably I've mentioned it with my band covering it, Caribou. That was always one I wanted to cover, and not so much from the playing the guitar, but screaming "repent" at the top of your voice. And if you ever watch them do it live, he sort of changes the repent a little bit. He sort of does the different rhythm to it and stuff, and like it sounds even crazier when they do it live. And an actual fact that, like I say, that is on YouTube of me attempting to do that in the band, and it had so much fun. Of all the experiences in that band, that gig will always stand out because, you know, of just going repent. You know?
So you saved that one for the neighbours, Andy, when they pissed you off.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you've already touched on it. You do a lot of your own writing of your own songs and recording your own albums and things like that. How many albums have you recorded to date?
I recorded, I think that's terrible. I think it's 6. Okay. Yeah, I think it's 6 albums and 1 EP, and then there's the odd song that's like standalone. Yeah. You know, I would say single, but it's not like they get put into a record shop or anything. You know?
Yeah. And you just release them under your own name, do you?
Yeah, I just release them under my. No, I just put them under my own name. I did consider that actually when I'd left the band I was in and I was doing the solo stuff. I did consider giving myself like a name, like a band or something.
Right. Okay.
And then I thought, no, that would, because you'll end up in 2 years cringing at it and being like thinking it's really, really bad.
Yeah. So why did you leave the previous band then? Was it musical differences? Chestnut?
It really just kind of withered out. Really, the drummer was in another band, and he's still in that band now, and we're still good friends. And the bass player didn't want to do it anymore. And then as you know, when it became more and more, you know, changes within the members of the band, it just became, and it started to become less fun. And in the end, it was just like, no, this is enough's enough. Yeah. And I also think we were kind of, you know, alternative rock and, you know, Pixies-ish a little bit. And I think I'm better at writing songs like the kind of songs I write now than writing those kind of songs, probably.
Yeah, okay.
Although my last album was a kind of mix of both, I suppose, but.
So where do you get your inspirations from then when you're writing songs? Just ideas come to you about lyrics, or does the lyrics come first or the tune come first?
I think the tune comes first. Sometimes I'll just like I think Charles had talked about this about nonsense lyrics, you know, about like Monkey Gone to Heaven was something, but he kept that. Yeah. But yeah, and every now and then there'll be a lyric where I'll be like, oh, that actually might work. That could be the subject for this song. How could that fit into what the song is? Or I'll have an idea of what I want to write the song about, and I'll try and add it to the music. Yeah. But I think the music is the most important thing. I think lyrics are really important, though. I think, you know, especially if a band has terrible lyrics, or you know, or their first album has terrible lyrics, and then their second album has a lot better lyrics. It's really noticeable. Well,
knowing your attitude to instrumentals and that as well, you would have just dismissed you, wouldn't you, if you didn't have any lyrics?
Yeah. I know. But I would just be like, no, that's no good.
That's crap.
Yeah, that's rubbish.
So I know that you've been working with some of the other members of the Facebook group as well. So I know Dusty helps you out, doesn't he?
Yeah. Dusty helped produce one song on the last album, which James Farrar did the drums for. And I'm hoping that all the new songs that I'm working on, I'm hoping Dusty will be helping produce them, and James hopefully will be drumming on some of them as well. So that, which is great. I mean, the song that we worked on was called Sunrise, and that, I mean, it stands out, the production and everything, and the professionalism compared to the other ones that I just tried to do myself that were, I mean, this even the ones that I did myself were better than what I had previously, because it used to be I just recorded it on my phone and just with an acoustic guitar and just posted it, and it was, the songs were all right, but then the production values were very lo-fi.
Right. Okay. So Dusty's a bit of a whiz then, is he, with the technology?
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's really good. He's really good, and he's a great musician as well. So that kind of helps, with the ideas of, maybe we do this production sound and do this and do that. I mean, I wrote about 8 decent songs at the beginning of lockdown. I wrote quite a few, but 8 that we sort of thought, and he had ideas for each one, so hopefully they will see the light of day at some point in the future.
And with technology these days, you don't have to be in the same country either, do you? Obviously, to be able to record stuff. So
yeah, that's the great thing. I'll record. At the moment, I've recorded things like demos using the Reaper music program, and just sent them to Dusty on like Google Drive, and it's great, because then he can just copy them and adjust them and everything.
Yeah,
it's amazing what you can do now, really.
No, absolutely. I'm friends with Ian McNabb on Facebook as well, former lead singer of the Icicle Works, a band from the 80s. And he was doing some work with Pete Buck from REM and that as well, and they were literally, just sending each other files, much the same as you and Dusty are. So, if Pete Buck from REM can do it, then why shouldn't anyone else, really?
Exactly. Yeah, he's great as well. Yeah.
So you're doing some work at the moment then with Dusty and James, are you, or is that in the future that you've got that planned?
No, I've recorded a few demos, and which I've sent to Dusty, and one which has been sent to James, and hopefully when he's got the chance, he'll be able to do some drumming for it. And what happened last time was he did the drumming, and then I sort of wiped the rest of the track that I'd recorded, which was like a demo, and then recorded my finished parts over it again, over the drumming, and then Dusty sort of worked his magic, as it was, over it. Yeah.
So who are your guitar heroes then?
Well,
I can probably name 2 or 3 maybe. I'll go Joey Santiago.
Yeah.
Probably Frank's in there. Charles is in there as well.
Yeah.
And Graham Coxon, I know, will be in there.
Definitely Graham Coxon as well. I would say the other one. Well, I would put Joey as my number 1.
Okay.
I definitely is my number 1, and funny enough, I mean, he's probably one of Graham Coxon's number 1s as well. He's kind of influenced by him. That's why he likes to put the little discordant things in and stuff, I think. And I really like Mick Ronson, David Bowie's guitarist from the Spiders, is a massive one. I mean, he's really flamboyant and over the top and stuff, which isn't really my own guitar style, but I just love watching that and hearing what he did. And he was great, an all-rounder as well. He was great on the piano, I think, and stuff as well. So yeah, I would say, and Charles doesn't get enough recognition for his guitar playing in the Pixies. He obviously gets recognition as a songwriter and everything, but his own guitar playing is very unique, and I wouldn't even want to just call him a rhythm guitarist. He's just I think it's Keith Richards said, you don't go into a shop and ask to buy a rhythm guitar.
No.
You just go in and buy a guitar, and he just has this unique way and a unique style, and I think he's absolutely brilliant as well.
Some pretty good choices there. So Bossanova was the first album that you got into, and then obviously the band split up for a little while, and were you sort of heavily into them by the time that they'd split up, or was it still sort of just Bossanova really that was?
It was really. So I got into them after they'd split up, and after they split up, and Bossanova was the only one I knew, but I loved that album so much.
Yeah.
And then when as I say, when I got into Death to the Pixies and the live CD, and I thought, wow, I was actually a wee bit sad. I thought I'm never going to get to see this band live. you know, and they sound so amazing live. It's you know, it was almost heartbreaking. And then obviously when they decided to get back together, it was just like a dream come true. I actually couldn't believe it. I remember being almost, it felt surreal when I was actually there at Tea in the Park, and I'm waiting for them. I was right at the front, as usual. I'm the annoying tall person that's at the front of gigs.
You certainly are tall, but most people are tall stood against me. But
and I was just like, wow, this is actually going to happen. I think it was Bone Machine they played first.
Yeah, they often open Bone Machine.
Yeah, that was a great one to open with, and they played Broken Face, which is one of my favourites, and it was just an amazing gig. You know.
So Frank or Charles's solo career, are you a fan of his solo work?
Very much. When I was going through the albums in that record store in Dunoon, and he said, "Oh, listen, you know, he's done solo stuff as well. You should try this." And the funny thing is, I was drawn to a particular album cover that made me get that one first, which was Cult of Ray. And I don't know whether it's because it looks so. It does look like it's done on Microsoft Paint or something.
Yeah, it does.
But it does kind of. But that makes it stand out. Whether it stands out because it's good, and I thought, right, I'll get that one first.
Okay.
Whereas the Pixies ones, I'd gone to Mark at the record. So what's the first one? And he went, right. The Surfer Rosa and Come On Pilgrim were on the same CD, and at that time, and you know, I just did them in order. But for that, I picked out Cult of Ray. So that was the first solo effort of his I listened to, and it's still my favorite. And I don't know if it's because it's one I listened to first. It's very punchy songs, and I think all the other stuff's brilliant, but that was the one that really stood out for me. And then I got his self-titled one and Teenager of the Year, and they're amazing albums, and if anything, I like them even more now than I did back then, and I liked them a lot back then.
Yeah. So have you got a favourite from his solo career then?
Yeah, I do. Funny enough, I've talked a lot about Cult of Ray, but it's not from Cult of Ray. It's from Teenager of the Year, and that's Freedom Rock.
Oh, okay.
Freedom Rock,
I
think, is an absolutely amazing song. It's one of these ones he does where he does like a sort of epic. The song changes a lot, you know, like
it does.
In a sort of Abbey Road Beatles kind of way, but he does it in a sort of punk 3.5 minutes, which is brilliant. I was lucky enough to be able to play the song at Adele's wedding happening, and I loved the song so much. It was one of the ones I was nervous about. I thought, don't mess this up. It's a really good song. You don't want to mess it up.
Because it's got a bit in sort of halfway through, hasn't it, where it almost goes like a sort of like a bit of a reggae type sort of feel about it.
It is. It's got that reggae bit in the middle, and then and it just the way he lifts the song all the way through, you know, and it's just fantastic. But that whole album is amazing. And, you know, you can take a song here and there and listen to one song at a time, or if you listen to the full thing, you know, if you've got time, just listen to the full album. It's amazing.
No, it is a great album, certainly. Yeah, so excellent. And I know you're not doing it now, but a while ago you were doing music therapy and that, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah, I was running a music group for adults with mental health issues, and really it was mainly just a jam session. But the thing about it is that someone could come to that group that was feeling terrible. Their mental health wasn't good, and 2.5, 3 hours later, after the group, they were feeling better. Yeah, you know, which was great. That was the great thing about it. It was quite rewarding, and it was great to see people. You know, I don't want to sound like Sister Sledge, but get lost in music. That's it.
No, but I mean, you know, it plays a huge part in most people's lives, doesn't it? Music to some extent or another. It's very rare that you meet people who say, "Oh, I don't listen to music." Occasionally you do, but I wouldn't trust anyone that says that they don't listen to music, to be honest. So, you know.
I'm kind of the same. I have met a few people like that, and I've sort of thought, that's a bit, that's odd.
Well, no, it is,
not
listening to music. I think it's really sad if you sort of have that attitude that you don't have music in your life, because it's, it does affect your mood, and it can take you up if you want to go up, or bring you back down as well if you're feeling a bit too hyper and you need to cool down a bit as well. So I just can't imagine a life without music. So I mean, obviously, like you say, that was really rewarding, that sort of work that you were doing. How long did you do that for?
I did that. It was 4 years. 4 years I did it for. And we did some actual songwriting in that as well. There was a few times where we worked on songs. Mm-hmm. One in particular where I'd said to them, if you've got any lyrics that you've written, just bring them in and we'll try and fit them into the same songs. Uh-huh. Or like trying to do the David Bowie thing of patching the lyrics together from different songs, and it was really, really good fun as well. It really was.
And did you put shows on and things like that as well?
Yeah, we did. We did shows in a park in the East End of Glasgow in the summer. Mm-hmm. We put a performance on, and we'd always do one at Christmas as well. Well, 2 shows at Christmas, because there was 2 groups. There was one based in one part of Glasgow and one based in another, and we'd put a show on at each one.
Okay, cool. And just touch on it a little bit, because you and I are both football fans, but we won't dwell on it, because your team's not doing too well at the moment. But you're a Dundee United fan, living in Glasgow as a Dundee United fan. How does that happen?
Well, so basically, growing up in near Dunoon, you'd usually support either Rangers or Celtic or the local team. The nearest local team is actually Greenock Morton. Okay. So, and my dad did try and get us to support the local team. They were top of the second division, or whatever it was called then. They probably called the first division then, just to confuse matters. And they were playing against the team that was second, which was Falkirk. And Falkirk beat Morton 5-1, and I think that was all right. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to support them. They must be rubbish. Yeah, they must be rubbish. And then later on, my brother had basically decided to support Celtic. I think that was maybe to do with meeting one of their players at Butlins or something. I think it was Roy Aitken was doing one of those football things they do at Butlins, and he'd chosen. Anyway, for whatever reason, he'd chosen Celtic, and I hadn't chosen a team at all, and they were playing Dundee United in the cup final in 1988, and my brother just said, right, you support the other team. And I told my dad, and he said, oh, that's a good team to support, because the year before, Dundee United had beaten Barcelona and got to the UEFA Cup final and everything. So my dad was like, oh, that's a really good team to support. So I just stuck with them. And there is actually a Glasgow-based supporters club for Dundee United, and there's a bus that goes to the games from Glasgow, and that goes to Stirling and other parts as well. So
I mean, they're a big club. If you take Celtic and Rangers out of it, then Dundee United and Aberdeen are probably, I guess, Hearts, Hibernian. They're the next biggest clubs, aren't they?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's a good club to support, but we're not doing too well at the moment. So
no, well, you got promoted last season, though, so back in the top league. And who does your dad support?
Well, my dad's a funny one, because he grew up in Cambridge, but he really liked, although he has a sort of soft spot for Cambridge United, he did really like Leeds, because he liked their style of football at the time, which, as far as I can make out, was, I don't know, hacking people a bit.
Well, they're known as Dirty Leeds.
So he really supported Leeds. So if people say to me, "What's your English team?" which they do, and I'll say, "Oh, it's probably Leeds."
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not going to win you too many friends.
I know. It's a really bad team to say. You're supposed to say Liverpool or something,
Yeah, so, the proper team.
Yeah. Although, I mean, obviously, I know lots of people that support Liverpool, so I do. I do. Yeah. So,
fair few of them around the world. Okay, so we better get back onto the music, I guess. That little diversion onto football, and Frank Black and the Catholics.
Yes. Well, what happened was I'd listened to the Pixies albums in order. I'd got Caught with Rain, listened to the solo stuff, and then eventually, when it got to, I think it was 1998, Frank Black and the Catholics' first album was coming out, and Mark, the record store guy, said to me, "Listen, he's got a new thing coming." So that was the first album that I was waiting for that hadn't actually come out yet. Okay. So yeah, you know, whereas some people, I know some people had that with other albums. So that was the first one, and I absolutely loved that first Catholics album. I think I get what people are saying about the, you know, there's a bit of a country sound, or they call it Americana, but that's just college talk for country. Yeah. That's what people say when they can't admit that they like country music. They say it's Americana.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
okay.
But it's still a rock album, you know. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. Actually, it's quite a lot of sentimental value for me, that album. I was going through quite a difficult period at that time, and that album sort of stayed with me. Okay. Yeah, through a lot of that. So, and I listened to that, loved it. I loved the next album, Pistolero, as well. Yeah. And I don't know what happened after that. Why I didn't not dislike those albums all of a sudden. I was still listening to them, but I wasn't aware that he'd done any more music.
Okay.
Him doing new music in whatever form disappeared off my radar completely. Yeah. So I wasn't aware of like Dog in the Sand, which was the next one, which it's a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah.
And when I joined the fan group, you know, people said, "Oh, you've got to listen to Dog in the Sand," and it's a brilliant album. And I listened to there's a lot of stuff I've discovered since joining that group, because I only really knew the first 3 solo albums, those 2 Catholics albums, and obviously all the Pixies stuff. I didn't know anything else. Yeah. So there's been loads of great stuff to go through, and it was exciting going through it.
So you didn't see him live then, because he was still doing a lot of touring, wasn't he? Both solo and with the Catholics.
Yeah, he played King Tut's, and I just wasn't aware that gig was even happening. If I'd known that gig was happening, I might have been, oh, he's still going and doing stuff, and I would have gone maybe to see it. Yeah. And I'm actually gutted that I never saw him with the Catholics or solo, because I would love to see those songs being performed live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So have you got a favourite Catholics track then?
Yeah, I think off the first Catholics album, the eponymously titled one, I think it would be Suffering.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot that I could put as a close second, but Suffering would be the one that I love his scream that he does in it when he's suffering, and it's just a brilliant song. And and I think I can understand why some Pixies fans aren't into the Catholic stuff, but I think they should definitely give it a go, because I think a lot of Charles's music can sometimes take a while. It has to grow on you first, you know.
Sure. And as you've already said, you love going to gigs. And how many did you say you've got lined up for next year? 18?
I think it's 18, I think, yeah.
Okay. So which one's the first one then? Fingers crossed.
It's, fingers crossed it's February, so fingers very crossed.
And who's that to see?
The Von Bondies, who they had one sort of mild indie hit years ago called Come On, Come On. Right. The only other thing the singer's famous for is having the shit kicked out of him by Jack White.
What an accolade.
What he said to Jack White, I don't know, but he really got battered.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was. I remember seeing the pictures and thinking, "Oh my God, never fall out with Jack White."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I've got that, and then and most of those gigs actually are between February and July. Okay. So they're packed into like a few months in the first half of the year.
And they're all in Glasgow, are they?
Some are in Glasgow, and some I'm going down to Manchester for some as well. Yeah.
Because I know you're a big fan of the Beths, aren't you? They seem to be
I love the Beths.
Of yours.
I'm seeing them in Glasgow and Manchester. Fingers crossed. So.
And Big Moon you like as well, don't you? You supported Pixies as well.
Yeah, Big Moon. They were probably the first Pixies support act that I actually liked.
Okay.
And I really did like. I thought they were excellent, and obviously I saw the Pixies 3 times on that tour, so I got to see the Big Moon 3 times as well.
So you didn't have to suffer slow show then?
No, I didn't.
You had a lucky escape. No, I'm being harsh. I
think I can't remember. I might have the Big Moon lined up to see next year, but I can't remember actually.
I think are they Scandinavian? Are they Sweden? They're from, I think.
Well, the Big Moon.
Yeah.
No, I think they're English. Are they not?
Are they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Probably got that totally wrong. I'll have to look that up afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, well, I know it must be a huge frustration for you, because I know that you know how much you love getting out and going to gigs and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you know, the sooner all this is over, the better, certainly. And cool. Okay. Well, I've got one last question, which I know you know what that question is going to be.
Yes.
And then I think you're going to be kind enough to play us a tune. So the question is, Joe Kirkham would like to know.
Filthy Joe.
Filthy Joe. That's her new name now, Filthy Joe. For it was her who set this question, initially for Adam Short, but I'm asking other people along the way now. And I have to keep finding it because I can never remember it word for word. It is, you're having one of those awful dreams where suddenly you've been put on a stage naked in front of a huge crowd and they are all waiting for you to sing a song. Which Pixies song are you going to sing?
The Thing.
The Thing.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, yeah. But we were chatting before we started recording, but you did say that you'd probably have your guitar with you, but you'd have a long strap like Peter Hook from New Order and not like Franz Ferdinand right up to your chest.
Yeah, it'd have to be the Peter Hook way.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Peter. What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play a song called Ardentinny.
Brilliant. Thank you. Take it away.
I'll just get this set up.
I've always wanted to say that. Take it away.
This should work.
You got your Paz t-shirt on as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, no Paz, no party. Right. I can't really see myself. So,
there we go.
There we are. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, that's where I'm gonna go. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, to the sweetest place I know. And when I find her, I must remind her that she'll always be the misty hillside, the bluebells and the sea. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, that's where I'm gonna go. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, to the sweetest place I know. The darkened daylight, it's freezing outside in the afternoon. Out in the forest, my path is guided by the moon. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, through the fields and winding roads. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, and I still call it home. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. again. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny. That's where I'm gonna go. Traveling on my way to Ardentinny, to the sweetest place I know.
Oh, that was brilliant, mate. Thank you so much for that. That was fabulous. Really enjoyed that.
Cheers.
So is that a new track for you, that one?
That's off the last album.
Okay.
That one, the written word.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. Really nice. And obviously very poignant for you as well, as it's waiting.
Yeah.
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 Mate, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been brilliant to chat with you. And hopefully the next time I see you, we'll be in a gig somewhere with a pint in our hands and enjoying the band on stage.
Very much so. Thanks very much, mate. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, you take care. Chat with you soon. Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye.